Whew, what a weekend of MLS action, man. Of course, there was the event, and we'll talk about the event later on, but also, there was only one draw this weekend. Incredible. By the way, I'm Adrian, this is Rabona TV, and welcome to the MLS review, where we talk about all the action, the highlights, and the lowlights from the weekend's MLS action. If you're new here and a big MLS fan, then be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can join our community and make sure you get involved in the discussion. There was a lot of matches this weekend, so I can't go in depth for all of them. That would make for a long 30-minute video. But we'll start out in Toronto, where the defending champions were fishing for their first win of the season, and they happened to catch that with a couple of penalties to help them along their way. I'm not saying that in a they didn't deserve the penalties kind of tone either. Well, that's a good place to start, actually. The first penalty was given in the 15th minute, and it was a harsh one in my opinion, as the defender slid to block Altidor's cutback and it went off of his shoulder. Thankfully, the Atomic Ant, which is the worst nickname out there in my opinion, but that's besides the point, thankfully, for karma's sake, had his penalty saved by Raimondo. However, just 6 minutes later, Altidor was brought down clumsily, and he showed Gio how to put a penalty away. Just before the half ended, Altidor coolly finished into the bottom right corner, giving Toronto a deserved 2-0 lead going into the break. RSL looked much better in the second half, and in the 81st minute, they made it 2-1 thanks to another well-placed shot into the bottom right corner, this time by Corey Baird. However, Tosaint Ricketts killed the game in stoppage time to make it 3-1 and give Toronto their first win this season. Toronto really had their eyes on Tuesday's upcoming CONCACAF Champions League semi-final, let's be honest. So, it was good work to get that first win of the season. That Champions League semi-final first leg will be played at BMO Field at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. By the way, you should watch it if you can, it's going to be a good one. Now, as much as I'd like to talk about my Montreal Impact beating the second of last year's MLS Cup finalists after beating the champions the game week prior, the match didn't offer as much narrative as others. Yes, Piatti is still one of the best players in the league to watch, and his assist was evidence of that, and yes, there was a really stupid red card given to Leerdam for a slap on Lovitz. But that's about it. Seattle needs to up their class on the field a bit for their own sake, as that's a few red cards this season now for unsporting conduct. It was a dumb push by Lovitz, but an even worse slap by Leerdam. Anyway, if Orlando versus the New York Red Bulls was played on any other weekend, it would have been the big highlight, as there was plenty of narrative and plenty of goals in this one. You've got Sasha Kleisman playing against his former team, Dom Dwyer making his big return to playing after a lengthy injury, and a late winning goal in a 4-3 scoreline. And the goals started pouring in early as well, with Florian Valot heading home Kamara's inch-perfect cross after 7 minutes. But 7 minutes after that, Justin Meram cut the ball across the 6 to Will Johnson to tuck home. But strap up, people, we've got a lot of goals coming our way. In the 23rd, Florian Valot took his turn as the setup man as he played Derek Etienne through, who coolly finished past Big Joe Bendik. And just 2 minutes after that, Dom Dwyer scored his first of the season. However, it looked a little uncouth. He was really pushing into Robles, but hey, the goal stood. And just after the half, Dom Dwyer did the sneaky ol' "you can't be offside from a throw-in" trick as he creeped behind the Red Bulls defense and hit a volley first time on the spin past Luis Robles. That was a sick goal. He scored 7 goals in 8 matches against the Red Bulls, definitely his favorite team to come up against. So that made it 3-2 Orlando. In the 82nd, however, Aaron Long headed home a Mark Zatkowski free kick to even it up. But you know, this match wasn't done there, as Orlando City scored a beautiful, deflected, shite goal to win the match 4-3. Scott Sutter's strike bounced off of Josue Coman's back and past a stranded Robles. 4-3 Orlando as they get their first win of the season. It was a long time coming. They have a chance to make it 2 wins as they face Portland next, while the Red Bulls will be looking towards their semi-final match against Chivas on Wednesday in the Champions League. Speaking of Portland, they got their second point of the season away to Chicago, who earned their first point of the season. Sebastian Blanco continued his great form for the Timbers as he grabbed an assist and a goal on the day. His assist, by the way, was to Diego Valeri, who scored his 59th MLS goal. Nikolic and Brandon Vincent scored for Chicago. That was Nikolic's 3rd of the season, while both goals came from incredible work from Schweinsteiger. This weekend, Sporting Kansas City continued their role as the unfancied heroes of the season and got their first clean sheet of the season as well. And they couldn't have asked for a better opponent on the day to achieve this, as they welcomed the bottom feeders DC United to the Cauldron. Well, almost bottom feeders. They aren't quite a bottom feeder like a crab or any other crustacean or mollusk, as they aren't rock bottom, but they are maybe like a nurse shark, like they're floating around at the bottom, you know? Anyways, bottom feeding classification aside, DC were pretty brutal in this one, and to borrow a meme from my European coverage, the hashtag make it stop in DC campaign has got to be in full swing, as Ben Olsen is looking more and more incapable. His team was outshot 22-13, only saw 37% of the ball, and didn't have any dangerous chances. Completely out-tacticked. Shout out to Kansas City though, as they, like I said, are making moves at the top of the Western Conference with 3 wins and a draw and a loss apiece. Also, Felipe Gutierrez is looking like an early candidate for MLS MVP, as he has 5 goals, 3 of which were game-winning goals from 5 matches played. Will be interesting to see if he can keep this form going. Just behind him on 4 goals is Dominique Onion Badji, who had an incredible match for the Rapids this weekend against the Philadelphia Union. By the way, did you know that Amman, which is the capital of Jordan, used to be called Philadelphia in the Hellenistic and Roman periods? Know how I knew that? By playing Assassin's Creed. Video games make you smarter and worldly. But back to the match, as Philly were yet to lose this season after 2 matches, and Colorado has been looking to improve on their first 2 matches where they were perhaps a bit unlucky and had an underperforming Tim Howard in their season opener. Everything went their way this time, however, as early in the second, Tommy Smith's flicked header was put home by the aforementioned Badji, and 8 minutes later, he added his second when Blomberg's deflected shot fell kindly to Badji to slot into an empty net. Then, in the 87th, Badji shifted to the outside, then hit a low-driven strike to the bottom right corner to complete his hat trick. The first Rapids hat trick since 2010, which was scored by Sana Niasi. That's 8 years ago for anyone who struggles with math, myself included. I'm an art/writing/video guy. And that was only the second hat trick in the Colorado Rapids history. Big up to Badji boy. The most hated man in the league, at least in Columbus Crew fans' opinion, returned to Mafre Stadium, and he truly had the last laugh, as Kei Kamara headed home a late winner to take the Whitecaps past the red-hot Crew. Columbus actually opened the scoring through Giassi Zardes, who continues to excel with his new club, as that was his 4th of the season in 5 matches. Breck Shea pegged one back in the 51st minute. Hey, he's another hated individual actually, not by me, by the way. I have nothing against either him or Kamara. But anyway, he scored his 2nd of the season, and 20 minutes later, Kei Kamara was the setup man for Alphonso Davies, the Canadian phenom, who blitzed past Will Trapp and around Zach Steffen and slotted it home. But it was brought back for a handball call, and I want to know what you guys think. I mean, his arm is in a natural position. It's ball to hand / unintentional. I don't know. Seems like a soft call to me, but he did get an advantage from it, so it's hard to say. But Davies got his retribution later on as he danced around Lalas Abubakar and played it off to Felipe, who played a perfect cross to, yes, Kei Kamara, who headed home. He and Davies were exceptional in this match, while Columbus looked completely flat in the second half and lacked any real attacking intent. Davies, by the way, has more successful take-ons / dribbles, whatever terminology you want to use, than any other player in the MLS at the moment. Way more, in fact. Going into this game, he was at 21, while his closest rival was at 16, and I couldn't find the updated stats, but Davies is good at dribbling, okay? That's the point. Atlanta went away to Minnesota United to see if Joseph Martinez could score some goals while his opposition isn't down a man, but psych! Atlanta went down to 10 men after 38 minutes. Thankfully for them, Francisco Calvo got lost and disoriented in the big green E of the Minnesota end zone and ended up kneeing the ball into his own goal after just 3 minutes. Even before that, Leandro Gonzalez Perez got a yellow card in the first minute of play, and he completed his card collection in the 38th minute, which gave him the rest of the match off, while his teammates barely held on for a 1-0 win. Minnesota dominated, outshooting Atlanta 13-5 and only allowing Atlanta to see the ball 29% of the time on the day. That win takes Atlanta up to 3rd in the East, 1 point behind the 2nd placed Columbus Crew. And the team just ahead of the Crew is the perfect New York City FC, who went away to San Jose without their talisman David Villa. But no matter, as New York has one of the best and deepest squads in the league and proved that once again this weekend, that they can get goals from anywhere, including from dynamic fullback Anton Tinnerholm. But we'll get to that in a second, because this weekend was the weekend of the early goal, as Jefferson Quintana's near post flick squeezed past Sean Johnson after just 3 minutes. But just as he did in his last match against the LA Galaxy, Anton Tinnerholm, filling in as a right back, though he prefers the left, absolutely smashed the ball with a first-time volley from the top of the box in off the crossbar once again. Later, Maxi Morales' shot deflected off of Quintana's right katana, aka leg, and into the back of the net to make it 2-1. Maxi Morales is having a solid season as well, as that was his 3rd goal to go with his 1 assist. San Jose had a few chances following that, which Sean Johnson dealt with well, as he made 9 saves on the day. The final half hour was basically just a highlight reel of saves for the New York keeper, and on another day, San Jose probably would have been the victor in this one, despite Morales failing to score in the 94th minute after rounding Tarbell. But Lima made a last-ditch kick save, Lima being the right fullback. Also, New England continued to surprise me as they went away to the Houston Dynamo and won 2-0. Actually, both of these teams are starting to surprise me, but for opposite reasons. After starting the season so strongly, the Dynamo are winless in their last 3 matches, 2 of which have been losses. I mean, it didn't help that 103-year-old DeMarcus Beasley was sent off in the 35th minute, but still, credit to Brad Friedel and the Revolution, who have won 2, drawn 1, and only lost once. And I know, this is what you're here for, so let's talk about it. Who would have thought that the first El Trafico derby between the LA Galaxy and LAFC would also be the debut of the football god? That is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. How lucky we are as MLS fans to have witnessed this and to have him in our league. If he can stay healthy and give performances half as exciting as that, we'll all be happy. And speaking of staying healthy, let's get this out of the way first. Because a lot of people either didn't watch what I had to say about Zlatan all the way through in the last episode, or didn't quite understand. My fear for him had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with his ability and was strictly down to his knee problems and his age. A knee problem, especially at the age he is at, 36 going on 37, can be career-ending, and players are often not the same after, no matter how much of a lion they are. If your body doesn't work for you, your body doesn't work for you, no matter how much you try to will it to work. That was my main point. I was just scared that his ligaments would give out and he would re-injure them and be out for another 4 to 6 months once again, which is an all too common case with knee injuries. So anyways, let's talk about this match, as some are saying that it may have been the best match in MLS history. I mean, I can't speak to that as I didn't watch in the 90s, obviously, but it has to be up there, no? With the improvement in the quality of the league alone, that already gives this match a step above previous ones. Plus, as I just said, you add in the fact that the Galaxy came from 3 goals down to win 4-3, thanks to the arrival of their newest DP. Well, let's start from the beginning. It took the league newbies just 5 minutes to get on the score sheet as Carlos Vela latched onto Boateng's giveaway and curled an incredible strike into the top corner. 20 minutes later, Diego Rossi squared to Vela, who draws out 2 defenders and goalkeeper David Bingham before hitting his second in off the crossbar. The Galaxy were dead for most of this match, and in the 47th minute, Ureña tried to square to Vela for the hat-trick, but Daniel Steers was kind enough, and unlucky enough, to steer the ball into his own goal. 3-0 after 47 minutes. In the 61st, Sebastian Lletget pulled one back to make it 3-1, and then the tides turned 10 minutes later when Zlatan was brought on for the aforementioned Lletget. After just 2 minutes of being on the field, Zlatan's failed cross fell to Boateng, whose successful cross was met by MLS OG Chris Pontius. 3-2 LAFC in the 73rd minute, game on. And 4 minutes later, this happened.
Throwing his body in, it's gonna fall for Ibrahimovic! Oh, come on!
I mean, I don't know what to say about that, really. That is the most Zlatan entrance, not only to a match, but to a league itself, as he scored with his first ever shot in the MLS from 45 yards out, on the volley no less. Then, in the 90th minute, Ashley Cole latched onto a Baggio Husidic through ball and played an out-swinging cross onto the head of Zlatan to flick home the winner. His second shot in the league, his second goal, and the completion of an epic comeback, second half comeback from the LA Galaxy. 4 goals in the last half hour. But man, do I ever hope that Zlatan stays healthy and stays in this league for as long as possible, because not only does it seem like he's having fun so far with his demeanor in interviews and training and of course on the pitch, but the league really needs big characters like this. What a winner, and please take care of that knee. At least until May. In fact, take care of that knee forever, and in May, you can get the flu or something so you miss the Impact game. That sounds good to me. And that, my friends, is all that she wrote this weekend. Is all that I wrote, actually. What a weekend of action. 2 7-goal thrillers, the debut of Zlatan, and perhaps the best match in MLS history. Let me know if you think that was the best match ever, or if it falls to another favorite of yours. My name is Adrian. Thanks as always for watching, and be sure to tune in for the watch along tomorrow if you're into UEFA Champions League action. I know I am, milady.